Welcome to another episode of the Dad Squad podcast, where today we have some wonderful guests with us. We have Dr. Sutit, who is a prestigious physician here at one of the international hospitals in Bangkok, Thailand. He's also the pastor of Love Dominion Community Church and the founder of Love Development Community that focuses on charity work here in Thailand. So welcome, Dr. Sutit. We also have Miss Zenia, who is a psychotherapy. Oh my gosh, see, this is such a hard word. She's a psychotherapist. I'm going to escape with that word. And she's also very distinguished, focusing on trauma and ADHD. So who better to have with the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is men heal differently. That's a really interesting statement, right? Like men heal differently, maybe what in comparison to women or just as men in general. So we're going to hear from our guests today on this topic. So I want to ask Miss Zenia, when you hear the statement, men heal differently, from your standpoint, being in psychotherapy, what comes to mind? What do you think about that when you hear that?
I think we are trying to separate the body from the mind a lot, and we really have to stop doing that because, you know, the men, you know, even neuroscience, you know, if you look at it, you know, there is sex hormones everywhere, and they will affect how people heal for sure. And I'm going to leave our prestigious colleague there to talk more about this. But I do see how men process differently and therefore heal differently. It's mainly that men go inwardly more than women. Women kind of, there's a massive socio-economic kind of thing that's going on, and that completely and utterly impacts how people. We can't talk about every man, of course. We can't generalize. The majority of men that I see here, they will go into themselves more than girls. You know, like women will come and they will go like, oh my gosh, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Men will find it more difficult to even express. This doesn't mean that they don't feel the same. That the feelings aren't there. It doesn't mean that they experience the pain the same or similarly, or they don't experience pain at all. You know, many women have got this idea that men don't experience emotions at all. You know, like they don't experience love the same way. And of course, having all the, you know, nurturing elements that make men be men, even from when they're born. We treat boys very differently to how we treat girls. That has got an impact all the way to the end. So I definitely do see men, you know, processing and healing in a different way.
Kai is like that a lot. You know, Kai just implodes. Like there's nothing that comes out.
You were talking about how sometimes men are raised differently from women, but then we still have different perspective or different expectations, right? Now, I have a question as a professional in the field. Do you think that men are aware of how they process pain differently from women? Or does being raised differently have a different change in how we think of pain and how we process this pain from how women are? Just because we are raised differently, we have different hormones and stuff, of course. But do you think we process the same, or do you think we process pain differently from how women would process maybe? As a man, I feel like I always keep things inside. So just wanting to know, do you think we are aware, or are there signs to be on the lookout for?
It depends again. I mean, they're generalizing pain a lot. You know, if we start going into every tiny little detail, then we need many, many episodes. But the process for sure is very different. Are they aware? Awareness is an interesting thing anyway.
Yeah.
because there is the intellectual awareness and then there is the emotional awareness. Know in the head that, well, like men will go like, like women will, you guys, you sit together and you talk forever and ever and ever and you sort everything out. And so that's kind of cognitive, women will deal with situations very differently than men. So women will probably employ, the village, they will employ the people, the social kind of support group around them. Where men probably will withdraw more into themselves and not necessarily share, again, because of all the beliefs that they have been brought up with, and can go all the way back to parenting and before that as well. But are they aware emotionally that they process differently? I don't know.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, I want to hear Dr. Sutit for a second. Dr. Sutit, basically what you're hearing right now, you're dealing with two aspects almost every week, which is the physical and the spiritual aspect of things. What do you think about all of this? Do you feel like men are aware? Do you feel like men feel the process differently? What's your thoughts?
My thinking is like Sania, no, the same things about the react of the women and men different, because women always try to when they have the pressure, when they feel suffering, they try to express it out. But the men normally they try to thinking the solution by themselves. This is the way that most of the people, most sex do, and in their way. But that is only the way of the react that they do. All of them still have to come back to the root cause. That what is the root cause? Because if they don't solve the root cause by the thinking it right, thinking it through thoroughly, that is the way of the problem still come back. Then mess it up just for a few moment, but it can come back. So we have to see what is the real problem and how to thinking about it, and what is the real solution to do it. Asking the question by in their way. Men try to ask by themselves, right? Try to thinking by themselves, but we didn't try to talk with her friends or some other people that they can consult with. And if come to the solution, they already come to the solution, maybe they can find a way.
Yeah. And
Yes.
in question to that though, right? The fact that there is this disparity of whether or not men are aware of their emotions versus how we process our emotions, where do you think that comes from? Do you think that is more of from a cultural standpoint? Do you think it differs from different cultures? Do you think some cultures are aware, some cultures men are more expressive? Does it come socially, just our different social community groups, or is it a spiritual thing where you just have maybe a lock on how men process spiritually and women process spiritually? I'm not sure. What do you think?
Or even generational
True.
differences.
From a generational family community setting, like,
This is where I'm talking about the difference between cognitive awareness and emotional awareness. Cognitively, they know, of course, that they are suffering. There is something wrong, okay? But the way that, and again, we are generalizing a lot here because I know lots of women that are pulling in and, and are withdrawing now. The gender roles have been a little bit mixed. We are for men to be more open, and women, we find women that are actually withdrawing more and more and more. But what you will find with men a lot is that they don't realize they process pain differently until a crisis forces them to stop. You see this burnout, breakups, illnesses, loss. It is normally really big things where they actually are forced to stop and say like, I've been working too hard, or I've not been really present in my family. That's why they left me, even though probably the wife has told him or the girlfriend has told him a million times that this isn't working and this is going to break up. And actually, until it actually happens, we see lots of men channeling their emotions into things. So in a way that they will go into action. They will start working more. You see some going through a breakup and who is really sad and upset. They don't take time off work, but they will go into work more, or they start exercising more. And that men are generally socialized to act through it, and it is until then it comes to the end completely where they do burn out or they do crash, where they stop and you think, okay, well, what's been going on in your life? And then they start listing all the things that have been going on in their life and think like, are you surprised that you've burned out? Another thing that's I see very often is that men will turn into, they obscure the emotion. So emotions, we have literally 3 basic emotions. We've got fear, sadness, and happiness. These are the 3 basic emotions. All the other emotions are kind of leading on from there. You can see that they can be very sad about something, they can be very upset about something, but what they're experiencing is aggression, they're experiencing anger, they're experiencing frustration. They start, becoming irritable, or they start, increase risk-taking behaviors. So actually the awareness is an interesting question, because are they aware that something is wrong, that something isn't quite how it should be? Probably when it's quite late, but are they aware what's really going on deep inside? What actually caused this? What is actually, the causing factor, the trigger of all of this? I don't think it's so easy for men to come to that point. And we're talking here about men that have not done reflective work. They have not done counseling. They have not actually looked inside. I can kind of say like the sheer volume of women that I see and the handful of men that come through my door. When I see men, it's mainly because they either had got something on at work, or they're going through a separation, or they've been dumped, or but also many men don't have the vocabulary to express their feelings.
Question for Dr. Sutit on that same topic. So if you have a man that comes in, unfortunately, he has kind of been stuck in that rut of his emotions. He hasn't expressed them, reflect, all this good stuff. How much of that has an effect on their physical healing, or how much of it impacts their overall health?
Yes, it's sure that people when feel upset, they have many disease that come into the life. The gastric juice will coming out. They will have the headache. A lot of things that can come, and if they cannot dealing with them, the suffer will not go away, or maybe just come back and forth, something like this. So most of the time we think need to bring them to their own mindset, that what is the problem and how can they thinking in the other way. If we cannot change the mindset, the thinking, the thought of the problem or the suffering that they have, we cannot do anything much with that, because it will go back and forth like that. So the way that we try to tell the people is that you may thinking on the other way. All people, everyone, we have some trouble at time of life. How can we deal with that? We have to thinking that we cannot escape from all the problem, but the problem can have some benefit also. You have to thinking on the other way. What is the benefit of the problem to you? Make you more be a person, or something that can be a lesson for you, or that you will not make a mistake again, something like this. This can help also. And most of the problem, it cannot be there for a long time. You cannot keep your sadness today for tomorrow. Tomorrow you will gonna already. So the way of the mindset, the way of the thinking can help the people to come out of the solution. Because when people thinking of something, they they themselves withdraw in that situation and then cannot come out. You have some people to talk to them and help them to see the other side. That sometimes they cannot thinking on that side. We have to guide them. Yeah.
John Sutit, I have a question. Since I'm going to break this up between Senia and Ajahn Sutit, just because Senia is more mind focused and then Ajahn Sutit is more the physical body and then the spiritual aspect as well, right? So I'm going to break this question down in those two aspects, right? Let's say, for example, we don't heal mentally. We have problems that we're dealing with mentally, and dealing with certain problems can be very general. It's very broad. I get that. But any scenario, do you think mental health affects the body? And do you think that dealing with one aspect mentally can manifest itself in the body physically?
Yeah, psycho-behavioral therapy that we have to do with the people who have some problem with some thinking, some thought that cause the trouble with their body. So changing some kind of thought in their mind can help with the physical body also. You have to deal with the cause. If it is not really the disease, not the infection, it is from the mind, you have to deal with the mind.
Just to add on to that question before Senia comes in, the question is, what are the dangers of ignoring pain for too long?
If you have some pain and you cannot release it out, you will try to find somewhere else to ease your pain, and that is the cause of all the addict, or the cause of the pornography, or some other thing that can release your tension. And most of the people and the male going on that way, alcoholic or some other thing that, and when they find out that sometimes it go beyond their return back. This is one of the cause of people who do not really try to find a way out in a correct way.
One of the myths that I've heard, and I've actually tried my best to kind of counsel some of the guys around me in this way, to not do this, is I don't need to talk to anybody to heal mentally. I can just work out, exercise, kind of what Xenia was saying, alluding to earlier. I can work out, I can exercise, and all of my emotional ailments will be gone. Do you think that that is something that is okay to do, or do you think differently? Because that is, unfortunately, a common theme amongst men.
It is different part because the try to work out can release your tension, but it is not release the cause. The cause still there. Right? You can release the tension for a while. Yeah, you can do that, but not the cause. You have to come back to what it is really, how to solve with it.
Xenia, I'm going to repeat the questions for you again. Two questions. The first one was, does emotional pain manifest itself physically in the body as well? Or is mental pain just mentally? And that's the first question.
Absolutely, it manifests in the body. So the body can cause mental illness, and mental illness can cause physical illness. We need to really stop thinking that the two are separate. They are not. So when we talk about psychosomatic illnesses, I mean, the stress being kind of the biggest killer, right? So what does stress do to you? Raised cortisol level, it's raised, and for a long time can bring calcifications in the brain after a long time. But you don't want calcium buildups, in your brain. Heart disease, you name it, cardiovascular stuff, tummy issues. How many of you, when you're really stressed, feel really weird in the tummy, you need to go to the loo more, you can't eat, you either overeat or you not eat at all, you get dry mouth, kind of your heart is racing,
Or ulcers.
feels really weird.
Yeah.
It's almost like, oh gosh, I don't know, I feel like I'm coming down with something. No, you're not coming down with something. You just need to rest. You need to go to sleep. And you need to kind of look at your lifestyle. There is the brain-gut axis. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. the brain and gut axis, more and more people are now being aware of that. If there are actually bacteria in your gut that produce serotonin-like chemicals. So we really have to start looking at the whole body at once, together, as one, and stop trying to separate them. So when I work with trauma patients, we do a lot of work with the body as well. So, releasing the tension, mindfulness, meditation, looking at the diet, looking at the sleep patterns, particularly. We do need to look at the whole person as one. So both can influence each other. You see people that have had an illness and they're struggling with depression, especially when it is kind of like a serious thing, like a stroke or, a heart attack or something like that. Or an operation, a severe operation, you might actually experience quite a long period of depression afterwards. As Dr. Sud said, the cause, we deal with both, but we kind of need to find what actually started this. Where is the cause? And going back to the gym, it is like a drug, but like food is a drug, alcohol is a drug, scrolling on social media is a drug, there are plenty of drugs around. Everything done excessively is a problem because it's then maladaptive behavior, as we call it. It's okay, it works well for now, but then we're doing it excessively and for times when we actually don't really need to do this anymore. It becomes kind of an obsession. That is not healthy. Yeah. But even so, one thing that we will say is start exercising, go to the gym or go for a walk, meditate, pray, obviously, because we have got the spiritual aspect here and the aspect of faith in our podcast here. Yes, prayer is so incredibly powerful.
Well, here's my thing. And I guess hearing all of this and all of these issues that can happen when we as men, don't take the first step to healing certain areas mentally, physically, and spiritually. Why is it so hard for men to get up and like you said, be aware and then come to either or of you? So like a man coming to, like if I have a physical ailment, me coming to a doctor is the hardest thing in the world. I will try to find every which way not to have to go as a man because that's just me as men going to a doctor. Come on.
I think in the mind of the people have to see what is the real thing that they need, what is the need them, and sometimes when we have the problem of even the physical problem at this moment, we can search in the Google and see first what is exactly it is, and it is really important until they need to see the doctor or not. Sometimes people don't see the doctor easily. They can find some other way out until they cannot find any other solution already. This is the time that they come to see me. Most of the time people do like this because all the thing is the money.
I think that is one factor of it too, is that, as men, we feel like, okay, we work so hard to gain the money, but then we have to use the money on our health when we could use it for something else, for our young ones, our spouses and things like that. But that's kind of a fallacy, right? We should feel that taking care of ourselves is a priority. But like I go back to that same idea is what I don't understand is why has masculinity as a whole made it difficult for men to take care of themselves? Why is that a thing? That's what I don't understand. Xenia, do you have some insight of why that is a thing?
Cultural and familiar expectations that very often, it's a matter of weakness. So culturally, like I'm strong, and there is an expectation of me to be good all the time and to be strong all the time. And I'm the provider. I'm, the head of the house. I am all of these things. I'm all of the beliefs that people have that they can't possibly accept that there are actually just a human being that needs to also look after themselves and to be kind and to practice self-compassion and to practice self-care. There is this sometimes moral teachings and spirituality sometimes as well, this promoting this stoicism, that stoicism is genuine strength. Like there is a big difference between being stoic and being actually a strong person inside, because I think a genuine strength means that you are very much aware of your flaws and your weaknesses. That takes far more courage than, like this being that swan, that is kind of really elegant over water, and underneath they paddle like mad. Lots of men equate emotional struggles with failure. Listen to how we talk to boys, oh, boys don't cry. I mean, like that was an old one, and the idea that they have to be strong and everything. I can give you examples of cases that I've had, and personal examples as well, of men that did not look after themselves, because what will happen to your grandmother? My grandfather was riddled with cancer, and he did not go. He knew he had cancer, but he didn't tell anybody, because he knew that if he told us, we would have literally grabbed him and sent him to the hospital. And when he was actually dying, then we said, like, what on earth were you thinking of? We found the doctor's notes from 3 years ago, right? So we have got, is this love? This is love. This is taking care of her. My grandmother was also very ill, but it's that idea that, like I'm her husband and I have to be here till the end, and I have to be present, and I have devoted myself to her, and this is what's going to happen. But then, guys, I'm really sorry, but we've got to deal with daddy issues again. Father figures, role models. It's a huge part. If vulnerability has not been modeled to you, how will you be able to then behave in that way? It's all about modeling, isn't it? It's about, having learned what a man is, having learned what a father is. And these things you learn from your dad. There's another case where the guy was, in the military, in his youth, and after the military, he had a very successful career and so on and so forth. And he suddenly, out of the blue, nothing was different in his life. Nothing happened. He fainted, just had a faint. And his whole career stopped. That was it. Everything in his life completely changed from then onwards. And he broke his arm, he broke his sarcoma here, he broke a pinky on the other hand when he fell, because he literally just went boom. And he kind of said to me, don't tell anyone. He has got a daughter and a son. Don't tell the children this has happened. And I said, but why? I don't understand. Because I'm their dad. I'm supposed to be strong. I'm supposed to be, unbeatable. I'm supposed to be always there. I can't suddenly be, weak and ill, and they have to look after me. And I'm thinking, what a shame. Actually, that was my thought, what a shame. Because what you're modeling is this person that's always okay, and there's never anything wrong with you. But actually, that's not really true. So how is your relationship with your son? How's your relationship with your children? How's your relationship with your partner? A genuine relationship, and not just an act.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How can you connect with the people that are close to you if you are pretending?
It's really unfortunate. And these are my last two questions for you guys. You have those caretakers or the wives or the girlfriends that even though a man may not have taking care of himself, or actually come to realization that he needs something, adhere to this thing themselves uh, through the way they act, the things they do, and things like that. So for the caretakers, the people that are taking care of these men that may not seek help, what are some things that we can encourage them with, or what are some things that, from your perspective, you can encourage them to do to help these people?
For me, I think everyone we have the value of our life. If they know that they have the value, they can survive. You have to
Mm.
give the core value of their life that if they still breathing, if you still have the breathe, you still survive and you still have life to do a lot of things in this world. So give them the encouragement so that they can thinking about what they really want to do in their life. Yeah, it is one of the really powerful things in the mind of the people. If they lost their hope, lost their power in this thing, they just laying there.
You cannot argue with a person who's already decided, right?
Yeah.
And that's very, very difficult. But I think it is about actually generally society changing and encouraging a more holistic and human approach. That what is it you want to do with your life? What is it you want to model to your children? Who do you want to be? Who do you want your legacy to be? Yeah. And
That's good.
actually, what kind of father do you want to be? What kind of friend do you want to be? What kind of colleague do you want to be? What kind of husband do you want to be? Well, and the same thing goes for women as well. But that's a question that we need to ask ourselves. And that actually self-care is not a waste of time. Self-care is not for the weak, or is not kind of some fluffy, chintzy stuff, but actually it's absolutely fundamental to our survival.
Could I ask a related question? So I understand that there are some men out there that they don't want to inform their loved ones of the struggles that they're going through because they want to portray this image of power and strength, right? But what about all the other people, some people who are fathers especially, they don't want to reveal these things because they don't want their loved ones to worry or to be concerned about them. What sort of advice would you give to those people, to kind of let go of the concerns and the worries? They don't want to burden, or they don't want to, cause any panic or worry. What sort of advice would you give to those fathers and those husbands and those men that are going through that are just really concerned that, look, if I share all my deepest, darkest demons and struggles to my loved ones, I don't want them to worry. I don't want them to be concerned about me. I want them to live at peace. So I'm just going to try to carry all this myself. What could we say? What could we do to help them?
Well, I would ask a couple of things, and I would ask these people to reflect that whether that is just an excuse, whether that's just an avoidance tactic. Oh, I don't want you to worry, and because look at me, I'm such a empathetic person. I care about my family. I don't want them to worry. So therefore, I'm not going to do anything about it. Is this actually an avoidance tactic? Also, is there a double standard? Because would you want to know if your wife, daughters, children, would you want to know so that you can support them? So is there a double standard there? Are you treating yourself differently? Are your expectations of yourself different to the expectations that you have got of others? I would actually challenge them in the way that I don't think you trust your loved ones very much. And I don't think you rate your loved ones very much.
Yeah.
Because if you think they don't know that something is wrong and you're not telling them, then you're deluded. Okay. Firstly, so they're already worrying, and they were already muttering under their breath because, but he's not telling us, and we've asked so many times and he hasn't told us, but we know something isn't right. Okay, so first of all, they're not stupid. Secondly, you are not trusting them at all that they can deal with this and they can cope with this, treating them like they're not able, they're not really strong enough to cope with this and deal with this. And the third thing you're doing is you're completely and utterly stripping them from the privilege, if you like, and the fundamental need to not only be loved, but to love. How can I take care of you and look after you like I have promised when we got married, or like we promised to each other when we decided that we're going to be kind of in a long-term relationship, even if we're not married? How can the children show their love and their appreciation to their fathers if you keep them at a distance? What kind of relationship is that? And actually, I know quite a few people that come to me and they say, like, if I had only known, I would have done this, I would have said this, I would have taken him here, I would have, whatever. And actually that, the possibility and the ability to do has completely been stripped from them.
Yeah, it boils down to trusting one another.
Dr. Sutit, what are your thoughts on that question?
For me, I think about the seeing of the benefit of which way that will be the really benefit for the family. Because sometimes if you don't speak it out, that means sometimes you're thinking that speaking out may be not benefit for them because they don't care. People don't care. And depends also of the problem is the big one or it's just a small one. Depends. There are many things also. So you have to use your wisdom. What is really benefit for the family to cope with? You love them. You want them to spend their responsibility with you also. But it is your wisdom also to see. Because sometimes when people don't really care you, when you talk, when you tell them about your problem, sometimes they really don't care it. They have to grow up also, but we have to thinking about the time that we spend together and how can it be when we talk it out.
With us, the three hosts here, our family structures are very different. I could tell you my family, they're very outspoken and they speak everything that they're feeling. You will know, and they don't hide anything. So
I actually have a question. Based off what Ajahn Sutit said and Xenia said, telling people because you love them, because of a commitment you have made, somebody to take care of you. Let's take a single man like myself into consideration, right? What about me who has nobody I have made a commitment to, who has nobody to take care of myself? I'm at home and I have friends, yes, but I don't want to tell my friends everything, or because my friends are maybe not in close proximity to be able to help me. How do I deal with these kinds of mental pain or mental frustration, for example, as a single man? Do I go to somebody? Do I go to a doctor? Do I deal with it on my own because I have the wisdom to deal with it on my own? What do I do? What do you think from your point of expertise?
I think the pain will move you because nobody can stay in the pain. If you know, you will find the scenario or some kind of the way that can make yourself more comfortable and have the wisdom to find the right way.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, try to find the right. If you say your problem is about if it is about the relationship to the people, you have to break that gap and come out.
Okay.
Yeah, if it is other things, they have to think about how to cope with that also.
Xenia, any thoughts on that for a single man like myself?
Could you just quickly repeat the question, please?
The question was, as a single man, who do I go to or what do I do if I don't have anybody to talk to? So like the first question, the previous question was, how do you encourage the people taking care of me as a man? But now as a single man without anybody taking care of me, I take care of myself. what do I do in that situation? Do I go to somebody? Do I seek somebody out? Do I go to the doctors? Or do I just sit with it until the pain moves me?
Yeah. So it depends on your social support network, right? It depends what you have. So the pain will move you to the right direction, to the right person. But the
Right.
question is, what are the possibilities? What actually do you have to choose from? So if you
That's a
go
good one.
to your pastor or you go to a friend, you can go to your doctor, you can find a counselor to talk to. If you don't have absolutely anybody, the way to talk to a counselor is, that's what we're here for. We're here to listen, and we're here to help and we're here to support.
Right.
Look at your support network and actually, who do you trust also? If you feel you're lost, if you feel you've got nobody to talk to, please, 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 pick up the phone or go online, find yourself a counselor or go to a doctor if it's a physical issue. But don't just sit with it on your own.
Thank you so much to our two guests, Dr. Sutit and Ms. Xenia. Thank you for just the great information that you've given us as men. Here at Dad Squad Solutions, we really are striving to make this a movement that men don't stay stuck in the environment that they've been in that's been hurting them, but to move forward and be better men and better fathers, and hopefully in the end result, making a better community. So again, thank you, Dr. Sutit, for your many years and sacrifice, not only in the ministry, but also in the medical world. And thank you, Ms. Zenny, as well, for all the many conversations that you've had for many people in the counseling setting and helping them move forward. I also want to say too, Ms. Xenia, I want to brag on her just for 2 seconds, is one of the biggest reasons why Dad Squad actually even began was not only because of Chad, but also because of her. So many conversations that she and I have had, she really was the one that said, hey, if this is something, a passion for you that you love, go ahead and do it and look at where we've come. And so I'm absolutely grateful for all of you. And again, thank you to all of you and all of our listeners.
There you go, listeners. You have heard it from all the expertise that we have brought in today. Thank you very much, Ajahn Sutit. Thank you very much, Xenia. If you guys have questions out there to our dear listeners, please feel free to drop it down in the comment sections down below. And we would love to engage with each and every one of you guys, just get to know you guys a little bit better. But from this episode, stay connected with one another. Stay true to people who are there for you. Go find help out.
Don't forget to check the description as well. The description, we will have some special links for you all.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. You will find the links in the description box down below. And from Dad Squad Solutions and our valued guest here today, thank you very much and see you guys in our next episode.